The question for our stat project was, how many hours after school do you spend using the internet for non-academic purposes every day?
We posted the link to our survey on different forms of social media. We received 109 responses through voluntary surveying, which is when people voluntarily choose to respond.
The four measures of central tendency are mean, median, mode, and mid-range. Mean is the average of all of the data points. Median is the middle of all of the data points. Mode is the most common response. And mid-range is the average of only the minimum and maximum points. From our data, we found that the mean was 4.98, the median and mode were 4, and the mid-range was 9.
To find the mean, we added up all the data points. To make it easier, we grouped up all the common responses and came up with the answer of 543. Then we divided by the number of entries, 109, to get the mean of 4.98.
To find the median for our data set, we listed out all the numbers in numerical order and crossed them out, one from the front and one from the back, until we got to the middle point, which we found to be 4.
To find the mid-range, you add the highest and lowest numbers together and divide by 2.
The measures of spread are range, Q1, Q3, IQR, variance, and standard deviation. Range is the difference between the max and min points in a dataset. Q1 and Q3 are the measures halfway between the min and the median and the max. 50% of the data in a normally distributed set will be between those 2 points. IQR is the difference between Q3 and Q1. Variance is how far a set of numbers are spread out from their mean. And standard deviation is a value used to indicate how widely the points are spread out from each other.
To find the range, subtract the minimum value from the maximum value. For our dataset, our range was 18.
To find the Q1 of the data, you have to start by finding the median, which was 4. From here, you take the bottom half of the data and you find the median within that, which is the Q1. In this case, our Q1 was 3. And then to find Q3, you do the same thing but with the top half of the data. In this case, our Q3 was 7.
To find the interquartile range, you subtract the Q1 from the Q3. For our data, we found that it was 4.
To find the variance, first find the mean of the data. Remember, for our set, the mean was 4.98. Then subtract the mean from each point in the dataset to find the deviation of the mean for each point. Then square that. Then find the sum of the squares, and finally divide the total by the number of items in the dataset. Here is the official equation for finding variance. There were many different values in our dataset, so we subtracted the mean from each one to get the deviation from the mean for each point. Then we squared each deviation of the mean. Then we had to add up all the deviations of the mean for the number of data points that there were of that value. We got 1,193.24. Then lastly, divide by the number of points in the dataset to get the variance. We got 10.95.
Unfortunately, we found that our answer for variance was wrong when we checked our work on a graphing application. The true variance was 11.55.
To find the standard deviation, take the square root of the variance. For our dataset, we found that the standard deviation was 3.31.
Because our variance number was off, our standard deviation number was also off. We found that the true standard deviation was 3.41 when we checked it.
Here is the bar graph depicting our data. As you can see, our data wasn't evenly distributed and was shifted towards the left.